Hello, Kathy Rose here. I'm here to talk to you about the new moon eclipse in Aries coming up on April 20th, 12:13 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Some of you may be thinking, wait a minute, you already did a new moon in Aries video. And that's true. It was last month. It took place on March 21st. But what happened was that new moon was at 0 degree of Aries. This new moon, which is an eclipse, is taking place at 29 degrees Aries, so the very last degree of the sign. It is very significant that we're having a repeat of that Aries dynamic, and extra significant that this one happens to be an eclipse. So let me explain. As you see on the left, I have the horoscope, the chart of the new moon. This is set for Washington, D.C. time. And if I were to try to summarize the themes, I would say that we're going to be focusing on power, how we use our own internal power and authority, and how power is used out in the world. We're going to be focusing on courage and innovation, particularly related to, are we able to adapt to life circumstances? And we're going to receive a huge energy surge. So I'm going to go through this step by step with you. You will notice on the chart, I have highlighted one particular aspect, and this is a square between the sun and the moon and Pluto. Currently, Pluto is still in Aquarius, but very shortly here, it's going to retrograde back to 29 Capricorn. And this eclipse is triggering that very, very sensitive zone. So let's explore the power theme. And you'll see on screen, I chose a bright red tea kettle at boiling point, surging steam. And that symbolizes very much the power of an eclipse in Aries. This sun-moon conjunction taking place at 29 Aries is activating what's called the anaretic degree, the last degree of a sign. And it is activating the very powerful, significant cycle of Pluto hitting that 29 degree point in Capricorn. So it's going to be spending a good portion of the rest of this year hitting that 29 degree Capricorn point, and then a good portion of 2024. So we still have the rest of this year and a good portion of next year looking at power structures and hierarchy issues and how power and authority is used by large organizations, governmental entities. But it's also going to be helping us to look at how we use our own power. Because I like to apply all of these lunations and all of these events to our own personal evolution. So when you look at this tea kettle, you have to ask yourself, there's boiling energy that's going on all around us right now. How are you going to use it? Because first and foremost, you have to look at your own integrity and how you apply energy in life. Next, I want to talk to you about a couple of key midpoints happening right now. If you're not an astrologer, this may look overwhelming to you. So just listen. Don't worry about the image itself. But what we have are a couple midpoint picture activations happening during this eclipse, which are phenomenally significant. We have the planet Uranus activating the midpoint between Saturn and Pluto. In the center column, I have this highlighted here in red. Oh boy, these three energies together. This is revolutionary change energy, upheaval, sudden shifts taking place with Saturn-Pluto dynamic, which is power structures. It can be positive or negative. It can be strategically using the power dynamic to get things done, or it can be misusing power. But Uranus equals Saturn, Pluto is talking about a very unsettled, restless energy that is vibrating all around us right now. Some of you may be feeling it. I know I talk to clients every single day, and clients are mentioning to me, it just feels so unsettled out there. And you're right. We are being bombarded with this frequency. And it is our job to breathe and calm ourselves as we go through the change that's taking place, not only in the United States, but all over the world. This next midpoint, which is in this fifth column, is ascendant, equaling the Uranus-Pluto midpoint. Now, that's going to be true for the United States. It's not necessarily true for other parts of the world. But what this is saying for the US is the ascendant is the identity, how our identity as a nation is projected out into the world. And this is saying that there is a revolutionary change happening with the identity of the US. Now, this may be economically, this may be about policy. This one is really fascinating, but again, it echoes and reinforces the other midpoint picture I talked about, which is Uranus equals Saturn, Pluto, upheaval, change, fast, dynamic, evolutionary shifts taking place. This final midpoint picture, this one's fascinating. And this one will be for all over the world, just like Uranus equals Saturn, Pluto is all over the world. This final one is Neptune activating the midpoint between Venus and Mars. This one to me is talking about all the issues and all the change that's happening with gender identity. There is a wave of evolutionary energy taking place with how we view gender. The transgender issues, and all the discussion about it coming to the forefront. This midpoint picture says that there will be some acceleration and that this topic is going to be front and center. It's fascinating. It could not be more clear. So the next thing I want to talk about, let me first explain how I work as I'm preparing for these videos. I go to my photo files and I gaze and I ask the inner guidance that I have to show me which photos are going to symbolically represent the topic. And when I got to this photo, this is one I took of a lizard at Seashore State Park, which is here in Virginia Beach. I was walking with my husband, and I think I took this last year. I vividly recall stopping and seeing this bright orange, beautiful lizard sitting there just posing and staring at me. And it just stayed super, super still so I could take the photo. When I looked at this in my files, I had that electric jolt that went through me that told me there's something about this lizard that I need to look up and research because it's related to this new moon in Aries eclipse. So I looked it up. It's called the Eastern Fence lizard. And it is very much in alignment with the theme of courage and innovation. There has been a new threat to this beautiful lizard, and that is from fire ants. A bite from a fire ant can kill this lizard very, very quickly. So what happened is the lizards have adapted. They've grown longer legs, thicker skin, and they've also moved into new behaviors, climbing trees to stay out of harm's way. And you know, that really summarizes part of the power and the potential from this new moon eclipse in Aries, and that is our ability to adapt, and sometimes how life demands we adapt if we're going to survive. And when we adapt, it requires innovation and it requires courage. When it comes to adapting our behaviors, adapting our habits, adapting our beliefs, then that requires choice, courage, and innovation. Now, ponder that. As life is changing, as prices go up, as the economy changes, whatever is taking place, where do you need to adapt? Or if you chose to, would adapting to some of these changes help your survival or help you in some way? I really, truly believe that that very much is part of the message with this new moon in Aries eclipse. Next, we have just a basic energy surge that is going to be pervasive and powerful to all of us during this eclipse. Aries is a cardinal sign, and the cardinal modality is restless. It needs to move about. It needs to get things done. It needs constant motion. I chose a photo here that of another colleague of mine, Dorothy Morgan. She's an astrologer in New Hampshire. She took this and she posted it on Facebook. And I asked her if I could use it with photo credit. And it just jumped off the page to me how relevant this is for this new moon, because the bee never stays still. It is a constantly moving insect going from plant to plant, gathering pollen, always the busy bee, right? Well, that's true. I mean, we're going to be feeling that energy. It's going to be saturating us, even though it's a new moon, and new moons are usually quiet energy. I don't think this one's going to be quiet at all. The busy bee energy, you need to be moving your body. You need to be taking action to get things done. If you sit still, you're probably not going to be feeling in alignment with your center. Move your body, exercise. If you do a meditation around the time of this eclipse, I suggest you do a walking meditation where there's movement and motion, because closing your eyes and centering may not be really that comfortable during this time. The final thoughts for this eclipse is that it is time to bloom. Aries is an extroverted energy. It's dynamic, it's expressive, it's courageous, it's pioneering. It is time to bloom and be confident and believe in yourself. And it is time to do that with a mindfulness I talked earlier about, using your authority with integrity and with discipline, and innovating where you need to, adapting where you need to. But it's time to bloom. It's time to shine. Just like this beautiful picture, this flower in full bloom here. Imagine that's your heart chakra. Let it happen. Open up, circulate energy. So I'm wishing you all good things during this eclipse time, this new moon in Aries eclipse. You are up to the task of handling this dynamic energy. Let it flow through you and activate necessary change, as we are all feeling this revolutionary energy happening in the world, as there is a shift in consciousness trying to take place. This shift is going to be really strong for the rest of this year and all of next year. We have to adapt to it so that we can live in harmony and in peace while we're in the middle of this change. So I'm sending you many blessings and much love as always. Be well. Bye for now.